Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Dadsigner podcast. I'm Michael Smith, your host, and today I'm joined by Sam Vogel. Hey, Sam, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Sam and I met outside of a hotel at Creative South. Sounds weirder than it is. Um, but yeah, we were heading over to one of the parties in the evening at Creative South, and um, we're heading the same direction. So we got to meet, walk over there and talk. So I'm excited to have you on the podcast and introduce you to folks.
Yeah, I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah. Why don't you tell folks a little bit about where you're from, what you do, and a bit about your family?
Yeah, sure. So I'm kind of one of the rarest of the, United States people. I'm from Wyoming. There aren't many of us around. Just like when you're in Wyoming, it's basically a big city with long roads. Currently out in Montana, freelancing and just kind of living the life there. And my kids are in school, and wife works here as a dental hygienist. And
Montana, that was always a surprise when I first met you, because I think you might have had one of the longer trips to get to Georgia.
yeah, it was. Let's see, we took a flight starting at like 5:30 in the morning to Dallas and then to Atlanta and then taking a car from Atlanta to Columbus. So a full day. Going back home was even longer though, just like a 7-hour layover in the Dallas airport. Got to watch the Masters, which was cool though. I got to see all that all the way through, but that's a long time to be in an airport. Yeah. Like you think of sometimes when you're traveling, the excitement of like just hanging out and you just want to get home.
Yeah, yeah, especially the Dallas airport. I've been through there a number of times. It's fine. It's not my favorite.
I've only been to a few, so it wasn't up there either with for me.
Nice. And you're a brand and web designer and recently becoming full-time freelance.
Yep. Yep.
So talk to me a little bit about your specialty, the things that you love to do.
Yeah. So I really like working with pretty much any kind of industry. Just want people that are engaged and want to do great work. I've done all kinds of different things in the branding realm, and web has kind of been something I picked up. Also, learned how to be, like be a Webflow developer, which was kind of a crazy shift too. Um, Not the most common things, I think, sometimes for designers. Like we all specialize, but uh, again, being being out west or in being in small states, sometimes finding good help in areas is tough. So you just got to learn the skills and go for it. So, but sets it up really well to be uh, from brand to full web design and just makes things smooth. So
Yeah,
stoked on that kind of stuff. And, uh, love touching every little aspect of a brand. So like apparel, your marketing pieces.
that's awesome. Yeah, one of the pieces in your portfolio is a donut shop called Glazed and Confused. Um, And as I was scrolling through it, I was like, "Oh, this logo is cool." But when I got to the apparel, I feel like that's where the brand really shone. At least for me, like the extruded donut, with the toppings and the glaze and the donut, and some of the puns between the donut hole. Um, Tell us about that brand and the process of pulling together that stuff.
Yeah, so that was a project that came to me as a small just donut shop. They had bought a local shop, and they wanted to basically like we're gonna make gourmet donuts, but we want to do off the wall kind of things. Think like Voodoo Donuts out in Portland and all those kind of things. Where we want to put like Cocoa Puffs on here. We want to make bacon, maple. Some of those may not be crazy, but they're like we also want to push the direction and just keep going. So that's where the name came from in the change and trying to make the logo quirky and just a little bit fun, but then spreading it out to the rest of the brand, like the apparel. I don't know why it was chosen by the owner, but he's like, we want a Yeti. Our mascot's a Yeti. So we got some of those things built in there, and then like some of the science-y kind of designs, like the schematic of a donut. Well, you have to put, figure one on figure two. It kind of makes me think of like the old engineering designs, like they exploded out. Yeah, it was fun. And then just playing with some of the different little puns, like eat more whole foods and things like that. Yeah, that was a really fun project to work on and just continually keep shaping and see it in real life too. So,
Yeah, that's cool. How did you find them as a client?
just kind of a connection, like came to me and they're like, we need help. So it's one of those like just who always is. It come from random places sometimes. You're like, oh, so and so bought a donut shop. Oh, but like, and so it is cool to kind of go in and actually learn about some of the process of donut making too when we're doing the branding. Because like in the element, like in the logo itself, there's like a little kind of starburst shape, and that actually comes from like the cutter that they use to cut most of the donuts, and like trying to work some of those a little bit, lean, give a nod to what they're actually doing.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
is it close enough for you to take the kids?
I have been there, but it's in a different town, so not quite a a fast trip, but if we wanted to.
Yeah. I I'm personally a huge donut guy. Like, I am obsessed with donuts. If you give me any pastry, any choice, it would be donuts. Even for like dessert. I know it's traditionally like a breakfast food, although not a healthy one. But
Get your
I'm
day going.
obsessed with donuts, and I thought I would pass it down to my kids, but only one of them gets excited about donuts. The other one could not care less.
Man, I like a good donut. There's a place here in town that, they make what is it, brioche donuts, and they're, like,
Oh,
heavier, but they're super good. I would love to be able to work with them too. It was, just get a donut empire going. So,
I can't
but
imagine that the overhead is very high, but their margins are probably also pretty slim.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it would take to run a donut shop, but it could
I've
be.
considered it. Yeah, and another client of yours that I also wanted to talk to about, which kind of pairs nicely with donuts, is beer.
Mhm.
So you did Luminous Brewing or Luminous Brew House.
Yep,
Um,
yep,
what aspects of the brand did you get involved with? It looks like everything from logo to cans to website. But
yeah.
talk about that process.
So, kinda over the years, that was a job that worked in conjunction with, like, a friend. They owned the place, and I've just kinda I got to do the logo originally, and this is just by pushing in like, "Man, you guys' logo, it needs help. It needs help." And, like, they're like, "What? We already put it everywhere." And I'm like, "No, no, let's do this." And then so I got to do the logo, and then over the years, they're like, we're gonna do more. Like they bought new tap room and like they're a nano brewery. So like even smaller than a microbrewery, and their whole thing was like fine quality. And the name Luminous comes from like illuminating ideas and like a gathering place. Yeah, and then of course the sun just being a play on like enlightenment, and that's being pulled through the brand as well. But yeah, I was able to do pretty much everything for them as it came, which was just super cool. Um, that would be one of the first packaging like designs that I've gotten to do, which is I love packaging. It's just that's a hard thing to try to get more work in, and but it was a challenge because you think like I drink beer, I go buy beer, like this has you have to think like would I grab this beer out of the cooler? And I was like, then you start putting some of those parameters on yourself a little bit, and you're like, it's got to be good. So, but yeah, that was really fun, and um, got to do all kinds of different things for them, like even some apparel. And
Nice. And that site build, was that on Webflow?
yep, I've been building sites now for like the last 7 years on Webflow, and just super smooth to do, and being able to hand them something that they can then update and edit when they need to easily is also huge benefits.
Yeah. How did you find the process of learning Webflow? I've toyed with it. Um, I've thought about learning it, and
Yeah,
that's about as far as I've gotten.
well, especially now, there's so many alternatives out there, but I got to a point where one, it costs a lot of money to hire a developer.
Yeah.
And two, sometimes things would come back and you'd be like, well, I don't know. It doesn't look like the design I sent. So like out of necessity again, picking that up. And um, I had a little bit of coding knowledge like before. Like I had HTML and CSS, but like getting in there and starting to mess around with that is a lot of like making stuff that then was kind of broken. And you go, whoa, that wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. So I got a lot of more respect for those developers now. Um, yeah, it just took time looking at better processes, and a lot of the sites that I build now are like they're using a framework from another designer. His name's Corey Moen, and he built like the Mast framework, which is built off of it's in Webflow, but it's built off of Bootstrap principles and stuff. So like that's made things easier. But um, yeah, just time I would say is and a lot of YouTube and a lot of just playing around with different things and looking at designs that have been built in Webflow by, some of the people I look up to and trying to, rebuild them just to see how like how is this made? So yeah, it's like anything. You gotta put in the hours.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And how deep have you gotten into like I've seen some pretty crazy animations, transitions. Have you dipped your toe in that or dove in?
I've done a little bit and been playing around with Webflow acquired GSAP not long ago, if you're familiar with that at all. It's like there's probably things that you've seen on websites as like simple animations and stuff, or like text coming in at a certain way, um and they acquired GSAP, so like their interactions have gotten way more powerful. So I played with that and started using a program called Unicorn Studio, which is a WebGL uh, embed. So you can go and make cool animated like things that'll track your mouse and all kinds of stuff like that. Haven't gotten to implement some of those things on websites yet, but looking to.
Yeah.
There's some
That's
wild
cool.
there and like some big companies that use Webflow too, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah. I will never forget one time. But Webflow is, I would say, many steps above Squarespace, but I applied for a job uh and the response I got, I realized was just a Squarespace form because someone responded and it was like Squarespace contact form for this job role. And I got the job and I came in house and I was like, "Oh, you're like a multi-million-dollar company
Hmm.
built on the back of Squarespace." Um, which is all they needed at the time. They've since moved. I think they're on Framer now, but it's just funny because you can run a business on anything that's reliable.
Yeah, it's just a tool. It depends what you need. I used to love with Squarespace sites sometimes, like, I think they've changed it since, but you used to be able to hit like escape. It would pop up with the login screen and you'd be like,
No way.
yeah, because it's like, I wonder what this is made with. But there's been some crazy stuff been being made on Squarespace too. I know some designers that are using it and like, being able to customize it like crazy. It's growing well, like especially like I said, you said Framer is one of those things. Like that's
Mhm.
something get up a quick site and that has some cool animations and just works well. Something else that's just super powerful.
No. Yeah, I because a lot of my work is not necessarily fully web based or I'll do like the static page. I don't get into a
Mm.
lot of animations, but there was a project I was working on and I really wanted the guy was going to develop it himself. He's a software developer. He just needed design help. And I really wanted like this certain interaction to happen. And so I was in Figma building it, and I started to learn like, okay, how do I do like on scroll stacking, kind of interactions even within Figma? And that was new to me, because most of the work that I do is, static based. But it's so powerful and cool what you can do.
There's a lot of people that are using Framer now too that like they're just skipping Figma and just building in Framer straight because it's like the interfaces are so similar, and then they just can publish. It's kind of nuts. Like it changes every day. I think even like school and all that, whereas like I got to get a web design book. Now the concept of a web design book, it's like as soon as that book is published, it's got to be outdated.
But yeah,
It's like there's probably some good stuff in there, but it's just changing so quick, especially with all the things like vibe coding and all kinds of stuff people are throwing in there. And it was just nuts.
yeah, yeah. There's a big push too to those a I'm gonna screw up this word, but agentic browsers. So basically, like, uh, chat or Open AI put out a new browser. There's the Arc browser. There's all these things that are like it's changing the way people use what a web browser is. And I found this is how you know you're getting old. I found myself being like, I don't have time to learn how to use a new browser. I'm just going to Google to type it in. But yeah, like even that's changing the way the web works.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, recently, what was it like Perplexity or they launched their comment browser, and I'm like, oh, do I want to? I switched to Arc a few years ago, and I actually like Arc. Um, yeah, and I'm like, maybe I should learn that. And I'm like, what am I doing? I have all, like once you've migrated all your stuff from like, I was at Chrome, migrated to Arc, and now I'm like all my bookmarks, everything. It's like just redoing it. It's like
Yeah.
if somebody, it's like when I redid my Spotify playlist years ago, I was like, why did I have to just change it? It doesn't make sense. Yeah, no, it's some cool stuff out there though. Like just some of the Copilot kind of things you can do, like even with Webflow. There have been things where it might be way above like skill set for code, but then you're like, I need it to do this, and then you can take those snippets and bring it in, and it's just super helpful. It opens up a whole lot of doors.
Do you have a favorite type of project, like Webflow development versus building a brand versus logo development?
Oh man, I might get greedy here, but I like doing the full thing. Like it's being able to like shape the thoughts and the strategy up front, and then seeing it, you know, as the brand and visual identity, but then being able to push it to the web. Because I kind of the way I like to build web is I want to make sure that it really embodies the brand. Like I feel like there's a lot of when you use websites, you get a lot of brand elements and all that, but sometimes there's things that don't feel like they just feel like they're not quite encompassing the whole brand as much. Um, and I kind of look to people like Smith and Diction and Mike and how they kind of look at the project as a whole, and I like that approach. Like, because like some of their stuff, I think the most recent one that they did was an accountant, and you wouldn't think like an accountant would be that exciting, but they made it just look beautiful. Of course, they always do. And then you go to the website, and like there are little teeny brand elements and stuff on there that it feels unique in a world of like dashboards. And I love being able to pull some of that stuff in and just um, yeah, tie it together. Again, it just comes back to it having clients that are just engaged and want to do, like they're invested in their product, but they're also invested in like, what you can offer is really what makes things fun.
Yeah, I think that speaks to like a bigger thing where like sometimes a client will say, "Hey, I have all the other I have my logo, I have my color palette. Can you just build me a website?"
Yeah.
And going back to them and saying, "A logo and a color palette's good,
Hmm.
but you have no other brand elements to
Hmm.
actually build the site." So we actually in the process of building the site, designing the site, you have to build all the other pieces, which is
Yep.
an enormous value.
Yep. Um, yeah, I've definitely had that where I get a call and like, I need a website. And then sometimes be like, why? And the other way, what do you mean why? I need a website. You build websites. I'm like, okay, but what goal are we trying to achieve here? And then it's like, yeah, you get to the point where like, you don't even have a brand system. Like, why would we build a website without the whole brand? You know, like
How
you're
are
just
you
gonna
able to sell that in?
huh?
How frequently are you able to sell in like, "Well, we can do the site, but we gotta start here."
I mean, it's like a disruptor, you know, and somebody calls and you just ask them why, because it goes like, what do you mean? Because, but yeah, I'm often able to work with them to like, let's at least get some brand elements going here. And I think one, it really reinforces your credibility of what you do. It's not just becomes the product. It's more the goal, you know, why they hired you. And I think then they trust you more because it takes away some of the um, just the monetary exchange. You know, like I give you money, you give me a thing. It becomes more of a relationship where you become invested in like their company and wanting to understand what they do and help them. And I think most of the time it leads to more work. So
That's cool. That's
yeah,
cool. Yeah. One of the things I was curious about was your shift um to freelance work and how that's influenced and impacted family life. Has it been overall net positive, stressful? Like what does that look like?
oh man, it's been pretty positive. Like kind of yeah, scary at first, as all changes are. Um, my wife especially, but she's been super supportive and willing to um, kind of roll with it for a while. I don't know if she's 100% on board, but if she starts seeing some tangible results, I think we're good. But yeah, it's been you quit working 40 hours a week, which to work full time basically. But that's kind of what the rush of it is. Um, I enjoy it because then you kind of control everything and shift it around. It's very modular in your day, I guess. And time and all that. But yeah,
Yeah. How much
good.
of the experience have you shared with your kids? Like to the level of their understanding?
You kind of tell them like I'm trying something new, or get a new job, or I try to shelter them a little bit. Like you don't want to. They're kids. They gotta live. They live free, have a fun life and all that. They don't need to worry about a lot of like what we're doing. I think if it gets to a situation where it's tough or something, you'd be like, well, maybe we can't do that, but you still just try to give them everything you can. Um, I mean, that's what I want to do as a parent. So it's like, yeah, we can do that, and you just find a way. So yeah, my youngest probably doesn't care very much. I don't. As long as he's able to do what he wants to do, he's set.
Yeah, yeah. It's do you find that the younger one, like, the personality is more free-spirited?
Yeah, very much so. He's like an extrovert in a house full of kind of more introverted type of people. Especially like my older son is like he's social, but he's awkward and really sensitive. And my youngest, again, he's kind of like a politician at school. Walking in like saying hi to everybody, giving hugs, high fives, pointing at people like I'm like, do you know them? And he's like, no. But, he's only a kindergartner too, so it's kinda like he's moving to try to rule the school by, 1st grade, and, my older one's more reserved and quiet and kinda logical thinker, and yeah, so it's just kind of they're almost polar opposites. They get along super well, but also with that a lot of bickering, just like his kids do. So,
Yeah,
but yeah.
yeah. That's cool. Well, one of the things I like to do is ask all my guests the same questions, and those 2 questions are, as a dad, what's been your greatest joy, and what has been your biggest learning?
Biggest joy is just being able to be a part of what they enjoy, I think, because like don't ever want to push them into something that it's about me. I want them to choose. You might give them the nudge at first because they don't know what all options are out there. Like everybody, like I think everybody grew up maybe playing soccer when you're 5 or something like that, and getting pushed in this or t-ball or. But after that, it's like, hey, this is on you. You want to keep doing it? Let's do it. I'm there. I've coached soccer teams, and that's another experience. And for it's an interesting dynamic. So I have 2 boys, and the boys are all over the place, screaming, yelling, just it's just feral. And like you look over, there might be a girls' team practicing next to us or something, and it's like they're all orderly and following their coach. And I don't even think when I'm coaching that they listen to me unless it's like have to do with food or we get to shoot the ball into the net and all that. And yeah, but it's both frustrating at the time because you're like, I had a plan, but then the plan just falls apart. And then, but at the same time, when you go do the games and all that, and they have a great time, and you know, gives them the opportunity to do what they love. It's fun, and that goes for it. Like my eldest is starting to draw. I think yesterday he's like, "Can you look up these shoe logos so I can draw?" And I'm like, "Oh, yes, you're doing what I do." And he's like, "No." I was like, "Oh, I can just rip my heart out there." But yeah, he's starting to draw logos, and I'm like, I'm not going to even say anything. I'm just going to let him keep going.
That's
So,
cool.
got a future branding expert in the making. My
Nice.
youngest was going through a stack of printer paper in no time with a line per page, though. So it's not sustainable. But yeah.
Nice. And then what has been your biggest learning?
Patience and being able to adapt, because I think there's a lot of things where, like I said, the soccer and all that, it's you have a plan, and then you got a plan for the plan to go wrong, and then you also got to plan in an extra half an hour for slow as they move sometimes from distractions. And but yeah, I think it's just also trying to like live in the moment because it goes fast. Like it's crazy to me that my youngest is a kindergartner, and he was born in 2020. So maybe that's what also applied to the wildness and all that into COVID maybe. So it's like, oh, stairs, who would have thought? Like in a building. Like he hasn't seen the outside world for a long time, and then he got out there, and now it's like, oh, I got to experience everything at the 100%. So but yeah, it's maybe learning to answer the same question 10 times. Like that's patience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
yeah.
good. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on, for sharing about your work, your family. If folks wanted to connect with you or find your work online, where could they go to do that?
Yeah, they can find me at samvogel.com as my website, and of course on Instagram, working to get more posted there. It's always kind of a, a challenge sometimes, like I gotta polish it, and it's like I think I just need to get it out. But yeah, find my work in those places. Of course, kind of some of the creative communities around. Just really trying to just be present and communicate with the community too.
Nice. Well, thank you again, and we'll chat soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.